Hey guys, how you doing? This is Juan with Liberty Graphic Designs, and today I'm going to make a video on 5 things to make your screen printing a lot easier. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Okay, so there's more than 5 things that's going to make screen printing a lot easier, but I'm going to point out just 5 things that's going to make your life as a screen printer a lot easier. And the first one is going to be selecting the right screen for the type of ink that you're going to be using. For example, if you're using metallics and you don't want to use a high mesh screen. So if you're using like a really thin or like water-based inks, again, you don't want to use some really low mesh counts. In this case, we're going to be working with shimmer ink, and shimmer is a little thick and is really hard to work with. It's a very heavy ink, so for that the best screen that we can use is a 100 mesh or a 110. So that's gonna be that will be the first step, right? To select the proper screen for your job. In this case, we're working with shimmer inks, and a 100 or a 110 will be the proper one to use. So that's what I'm gonna be using today. Actually, I'm gonna be using a 156 because that's what the job was already on, so I'm gonna be using a 156. So that's tip number 1. Okay, so number 2, and this is the one that a lot of newbies, a lot of new screen printers, this is the one that they struggle with the most. And this one is about getting your ink to flow easy. And I'm gonna show you that one. I will show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a couple of steps on how to do that. So let me bring the camera over so you can see the little tricks that you're gonna do to get your ink flow faster. So let me bring the camera over here. Okay, so we're here at the at our palette, right? And our shirt or the palette is pretty cold. So in order for our ink to flow, and you can see this one is very thick. If you ever work with metallic inks, they tend to be very heavy. So one trick to get it flowing, just start messing with it. Okay, so one trick to start to get the ink flowing, just keep messing with it, and mix it back and forth until it softens the ink, and it'll start flowing easier. So the best trick to get your ink flowing, get your shirt nice and hot. Not like super hot, but then get it nice and warm, I should say. So we're gonna put the shirt underneath the flash dryer, and you wanna get it nice and warm. So after you leave it under the flash dryer for about 7 seconds, bring it back. And as soon as it comes out of the flash dryer, go ahead and start working your ink. Make sure that when you bring the shirt back in, make sure it's not too hot. You don't want to seize the ink on your screen. So what I'm doing is I'm warming up the shirt again just a little bit. So I want the ink to flow. You see, it's starting to flow better. Also make sure that your palettes are nice and warm. Like for example, this palette right now is very cold, so it has to be warm. Okay, so make sure that all of your palettes are nice and warm. And by this time, see, the ink is flowing a lot easier now. And that's how you're going to get your ink to flow nice and easy. by warming up the pallets. So it's a good idea to load your shirts and just run them through the flash dryer. And this is only at the beginning. That way your shirts are nice and warm. Okay, so make sure you warm up your pallets and load your shirts, and then run them through the flash dryer the first time. That way your shirts are nice and warm by the time you start working. Which brings me to point number 3, or to the trick number 3. Okay, so trick number 3, that's loading your shirts. So when you load your shirts, let me bring the camera over. Okay, so trick number 3, it's loading your shirts. So when you're loading your shirts on the pallet, make sure that when you put your shirts where you're going to be working out of, make sure that they're nice and flat right here. Don't have your shirts all just thrown out like that, because that's going to slow you down. So when you grab the shirts, you know, even if it's a small or medium or large, 2X, 3X, whatever, have them all right here. That way it's very easy to grab them. Stick your hands in there. So whatever you're going to print, let me warm up this. Whatever side you're going to print, it's going to be facing down. The shirt, whatever side you're going to be printing on the shirt is going to be facing down. So stick your hands inside, you know, by your wrist. You're going to stick your hands about where, you know, by your wrist. And then instead of, when you pull it out, instead of pulling it out and flipping it over, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to grab the shirt, close your fist, make a fist, and then you're going to end up with this, like this, with that. So when you load the t-shirt, so that way when you load the t-shirt, you don't have a lot of material hanging over on the other side of the pallet. So I'm going to show you again. Your shirt will be facing up. You grab it, squeeze it, and then you load it. Now let me show you to where you can see the actual pallet. Okay, so loading the shirt. So you're going to stick your hands, grab it, and slide it in. Also, another trick. Make sure that you draw a line directly in the center of your pallet. And that line, I'm moving it so it doesn't, so I don't burn the other shirt. So all the shirts have a natural line. I don't know if you can see it, but they have a natural line right there from the vendor. So when you grab the shirt, if you draw a line on your pallet, you're going to line the same line to your line, to the line on the pallet. The shirt naturally has a line right there. So just line it up. That's it. And your palette should be warm by now. The ink is going to be flowing a lot easier. A lot of you like to push. I like to pull. Okay, so my first shirt already came back for my second pass. So another trick that you should do, number your arms. That way you know where you started. There you go. So, and that brings us to our tip number 4. Tip number 4 is, okay, so printing is already hard, right? And there's some screen printers that tend to grab a lot of ink with the squeegee. Don't grab a lot of ink, just grab a little bit. So you want to have about that much ink. It's about 1/4 of an inch. Either pulling or pushing. So you don't want to have a ton of ink in front of your squeegee. That way you don't have to push or pull a lot of ink. So notice how mine is going to be very, very small. I don't know if you can see it, but that way the amount of ink I'm pulling or pushing is very minimum. Okay, so tip number 5 and final tip, and that will be unloading the t-shirt. So to unload the t-shirt, you grab it at the back, make sure it comes loose from the pallet, grab it and kind of fold kind of like that, and then lay it on your dryer. Then just continue on with the other ones. Okay, so unloading the front of the shirt. Have you ever burned the tags of it on a shirt? This is how you can stay away from burning the tags. So right here at the collar, just draw an imaginary line, and you're gonna pick up the shirt from those points, from that point. Pick it up, and see that when you lay it on your dryer. So if you grab it like that, when you lay it on the dryer, the tag will be hidden. You see the tag will be hidden underneath, and that way you won't burn it. So there you go. That was 5 tips for making your screen printing a lot easier. So the first one will be to select the right screen for the job. Don't get let's say, for example, if you're working with white ink, you can Google it. You can Google the ink or the type of ink that you're working with, and the ink or the website actually tells you what type of a screen you're supposed to use for that. Even not only the screen, it also tell you what type of a squeegee you're supposed to use. So if you're using the proper squeegee and the proper screen mesh, it's gonna make it a lot easier. Second will be to getting the ink to flow. And the first thing you want to do is you want to stir the ink in the bucket or in the gallon or the quart or whatever it is you have. You want to stir it to get it, to get it going. Second will be warm up your palette and warm up the shirts prior to, this is just the beginning, at the beginning. Prior to starting your job, warm up the shirts. That way when you hit the first print, your ink will warm up a little bit and it'll start flowing a lot easier. So that's the tip number 2. So tip number 3 will be loading the shirts. At the very beginning, when you're getting your shirts out of the box, make sure you lay them on top, and the leading edge, the bottom of the shirt, they're all together. That way you're not searching through all the pile of shirts to grab the proper or to grab the shirt. If you have them all stacked on top of each other, it's a lot easier and goes a lot faster. So the first one, that was the third one. So the fourth one is when you're either pulling or you're pushing the ink. Just grab a minimum amount of ink. I've seen a lot of people that they grab so much ink that it actually goes all the way on top of the wooden side of the squeegee, either wood or metal, whatever squeegee it is you're using. So you don't want to grab a lot of ink. If you think about it, only a small layer of ink actually goes through the screen. So there's no need in having a ton of ink. It's just making it harder on yourself. So a rule of thumb, grab about 1/4 of an inch of ink, and it'll make it a lot easier when you're either pushing or you're pulling. I'm sorry, pulling or pushing. So that's gonna make it just a lot easier. And number 5, and it's one of the most important ones, when you're unloading the shirt, don't just pull it, because sometimes you pull it and it'll get away from you and it recoils and it lands on top of each other. So yeah, and then when you're unloading, make sure you pull it from the back and then pull it from the front so it doesn't recoil and land on top of each other. So this is the 5 easy steps. One of the ones that I find very useful is when you're working in the front of the shirt. If you grab it from about right here, and you bring it over, when you lay it down on top of your conveyor, or yeah, your conveyor, it actually covers the tag so you don't burn it. So that one's the one that I like the most. Guys, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and ding the bell so you're notified when I upload new videos. So thank you guys, and I will catch you on the next one. It's kind of hot, so I'm gonna continue on because I gotta finish the shirts. Thank you guys. I will see you on the next one.